I want to welcome everyone to the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Training for school year 17-18. I'm excited about this upcoming school year, and hopefully this training will give you all the tools and tips that you need to have a successful year. So first, I just want to start by introducing the FFVP team. I am Maya McBride, and I'm the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program Coordinator. And I don't know if y'all want to stand up or can you? Okay. And then to the right of me, I know y'all probably can't see them, but most of y'all probably know them anyway. Miss Stephanie Osbrook, and she is the Assistant Director of Healthy Schools. Also, I have Miss Debbie Branscombe and Miss Kelly Doppelhammer, and they are like my dynamic duo. They work directly with approving and entering FFVP claims along with handling claim issues with me. So you'll hear their names a lot this year, all three of them, and getting a lot of correspondence from them throughout the year. So we kind of make up the FFVP team. Also, Miss Suzanne Davison is the Director of Child Nutrition, and she is not here, but I just wanted to mention her and let you guys know that she's the director of the program. And that is the team. So we're gonna go over a couple housekeeping before we start the training. So first, feel free to send any questions that you have during the training to Miss Stephanie Osbrook, and I should have posted, but I did send it to you in the email that I sent out yesterday. But her email address is stephanie.osbrook@arkansas.gov, and you can send those emails during the training, and we will address them live as they come in. Also, for the participants that are here in person, feel free anytime during the training, if you have any questions to ask, just stop me during the presentation and ask those questions, and we'll make sure that everyone can hear them and address them. So this year we have 136 schools, and they are representing 84 districts that were awarded the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program. And that is the highest amount of schools that we've ever had. So we're really excited. We're also excited just to be able to continue to provide a fresh fruit and vegetable snack to more children across the state of Arkansas. Also, some other housekeeping. So we're gonna look at the folder that I provided you, and we're gonna go through all the documents in there just to make sure you know like what's in there, and hopefully your folder is complete. And for those that are online, the email that I sent you, it had several attachments, and you should have each document, whether it's in a PDF or Word file. So just kind of look for them and I guess they'll be up on the screen. Kelly, are you just gonna click on them? Okay. So on the left-hand side of the folder, I have the first module for the training. There are 3 different modules. The second module is behind it, and then the third module. Then behind that is the addendum to the state agency, which most of you have already turned in, and that's the agreement between you guys and us for the program. After that is the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program training evaluation for this year, and the attestation of completion form is behind that. So then on the right-hand side, I have the instructions for the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable claim for reimbursement, and then a copy of the claim for this year, the reimbursement claim that you'll fill out each month. Here behind that is the fax cover sheet. When you send your claim in, if you choose to fax it in, here's a cover sheet that you can attach along with it. This next sheet is pretty important. It is the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program deadlines for this year. So you want to post this up somewhere where you can see this and kind of be reminded of those dates. So definitely keep that in your pocket. You have behind that is the 2017-18 equipment request form, and we'll talk a little bit more about the equipment request. And this is the form you'll need to submit if you choose to purchase some equipment. behind that is the confirmation of hourly pay rate for FFVP grant workers. And this is a form that you'll have to submit to us as well for the labor if you decide to claim. The monthly timesheet for the hours spent on FFVP. And next is the FFVP quote sheet. And it's just a sample sheet, for purchasing fresh fruits and vegetables and kind of keeping a log from the different vendors that you speak to. And then the last sheet is Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program Administrative Review. And we'll go over that a little more, but it's a tool for the on-site administrative review. So hopefully you have all those documents either in your folder or attached to that email. And if there are any that you're missing, just feel free to email me. And they'll also be posted on the website under forms, and then under FFVP, they'll be updated after the training. I think that is it. So we will begin the training with the first module. Oh, yes, I do have this. Okay. So the objectives for today are to discuss the goals of the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program, identify schools and the Arkansas Department of Education responsibility as outlined in the addendum, identify allowable and non-allowable expenses, discuss the growth of FFVP in Arkansas, and also identify key deadlines for successful implementation of FFVP. So the goals for the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program, there are several goals, but the ultimate goal is really just to create a healthier school environment by providing healthy food choices for the students. Under that goal, it helps expand the variety of fruits and vegetables that children are able to experience. It increases their consumption of fresh fruits and vegetables while also making a difference in their diet to hopefully impact their present and future health. So a little FFVP history. FFVP was brought from the Food Conservation and Energy Act of 2008, which is also known as the Farm Bill. It amended the National School Lunch Act to add the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program. And it is permanently authorized nationwide and provides significant funding increases throughout the years. So funding, the money. So here is a graph that shows the expansion of FFVP since the beginning of the program in 2008. So as you can see on here, each year we have received more funding, resulting in more children at various schools being able to receive a fresh fruit or vegetable snack during the school year. Between last year and this year, and I think you can see on the screen, we did receive a little less, but it didn't affect us that much because we were able to fund even more schools by just kind of giving less money per student, but still being able to give them enough money to have a fresh fruit and vegetable snack throughout the whole year. So just a little bit less money per student, where we were able to fund more schools and more kids. So we thought that was awesome, and we were excited to be able to do that. Oh, here it also says, I know that there is, in 2014 and 15, it shows an increase in the amount awarded per student, and it just resulted in a decrease in the number of schools awarded. This change was made to allow for the increasing cost of fresh fruits and vegetables and to assure adequate training and technical assistance from the coordinator for the schools who received the grant. So here is how we determine how much a school gets for funding for the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program. So it's based off of the October 1, 2016 Cycle 2 report. And from that, we determine how much each student will get for the grant award. So per student, this year, each student is getting $50.73, and it's divided into two allocations, and we'll talk about that a little further. But the first allocation, which is a smaller pot of money, and it's less months than the second one. They're getting $5.73 per student, and then the second allocation, which is more months and a larger pot of money, they're getting $45 per student in that allocation. And each year we make adjustments made for schools who change grade configurations for the next year. So next we're going to take a look at the addendum, which is just the agreement that you have, that Child Nutrition has with the school for the FFVP program. And this is the document that I've been sending to you guys, and you signed as the Child Nutrition Director and your superintendent agreeing to the terms and conditions of the addendum. And there is a copy, I sent a copy in the attachments in the email, and there also should be one in that folder, just so you can look through. But most of you guys have sent one, and we are in the process of getting Miss Suzanne to sign it, as well as myself, and we'll send that to you within the next week or so that you can start the program, because you have to have a signed copy of the addendum and on file for you to start implementation of the program. So just going through some of the FFVP agreement terms. FFVP funds may not be used to replace foods that are part of the reimbursable lunch or breakfast. They cannot be provided at the same time as breakfast or lunch, and it is only available during the school day. So we want our students to have a fresh fruit and vegetable snack during the school day, just some energy to kind of keep them in between lunch and breakfast. So we want to make sure that we keep that snack during the school day. The funds will not be used to serve fresh fruits or vegetables to students after the regular school term, and FFVP should not be used as a reward or punishment for other disciplinary means. The funds will be utilized at approved schools only. No preschools are included in the program, and the program will be implemented as outlined in the FFVP application, plus any amendments or revisions that were approved by ADE Child Nutrition Unit. So the program must be implemented by September 1st, 2017. You can implement the program beforehand, like right when school starts, as long as you have that addendum on file and you turned in everything, but the program must be implemented by September 1st. Implemented means that you are serving the fresh fruit and vegetable program at least once during the first week of September. Fresh fruits and vegetables will be the major focus of the program. Any items purchased and not consumed by May 31st, 2018 will not be claimed for reimbursement from the FFVP funds. So it starts September 1st. You have to have started and implemented the program, and everything has to be purchased and consumed by May 31st, 2018. So teachers are encouraged to participate with the program so that they can, model healthy eating for the students, and also using that opportunity for nutrition education and other related topics. So we do allow for the teachers to eat that fresh fruit and vegetable stack with their students to kind of model that behavior and just encourage them to use it in their nutrition education as well. Just you can't provide the fresh fruit and vegetable snack for other adults that aren't in the classroom with the students. I'm sorry. So now we're going to talk about the allowable expenses, the things that you can purchase with the fresh fruit and vegetable grant. So allowable foods are the fresh fruits and fresh vegetables. Value-added services are also allowed, and they include pre-cut fresh produce, ready-made fresh produce trays, and delivery charges. So all of those things that are allowed with the grant. Also, non-food items such as napkins, paper plates, trays, and trash bags are also allowable expenses. And these non-food FFV supplies must be purchased by April 15th, 2018. So after that, you cannot purchase any more non-food items for the year. The best explanation that was given to me when I started here was that for non-food supplies, that are any items that are needed for one-time use to implement the program. So if you're kind of in doubt of whether or not it would go under non-food items, just kind of think like, is there something that they can use to, eat the fresh fruits and vegetables, or that we need to serve, but also something that's probably disposable. All of those items go under the non-food items and supplies. Also allowable expense is salaries and fringe benefits for the employees who do tasks related to preparation and service of fruits and vegetables. We really want the grant to be used for the fresh fruits and vegetables, but we do understand that there are some circumstances where they may need to cover labor depending on the school situation for the implementation of the program. So it is allowed in the expense. Only a portion of the FFVP expenses for FFVP activities can be charged as a grant expense. And there are assigned time sheets that need to be submitted with the claim, as well as the confirmation pay rate sheet that's in your folder that we'll go through, that you would have to submit to claim labor as well. So it is an allowable expense. We don't want it to be, a burden on your staff. We want them to be able to have enough means to serve the fresh fruit and vegetables to the children. So like I said, the monthly timesheet, this is our sample form. A lot of our schools do use this form, but some of them also have their own forms. And if they're similar to this and we can see how many hours that were used to implement FFVP and the days, the time in, time out, and you have the initials, we take those forms as well. So if you're just, when in doubt, email it to myself or Miss Debbie or Miss Kelly, and we'll approve it so you guys can use your own monthly timesheet form. But here you just simply put the employee at the top of the sheet, and then whatever day that they worked within that month, the time in, time out, and how many hours. Have the employee to initial the sheet, and also don't forget to have the employee sign as well as the supervisor's signature. And just as the supervisor, I would make sure that if your employees are doing that sheet, check behind them to make sure that the math is right before it gets to us, because we go through it and check it as well, but it's always good to have someone else checking after that. Also remember that on this sheet, we ask that you put your time like by quarter hours. So, 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, or the hour. That's how we check it off. And I know this year we had a couple issues with some schools, trying to claim, they might have, I don't know, it might be 15, I don't know, like it was almost to an hour. So maybe they'd have like 1 o'clock to 1:54 or 1:55. So we were just saying, go ahead and claim that whole hour. Make sure to round up or round down wherever it's necessary, and because we'll end up doing it for you. So go ahead and just feel free to round up or round down to that quarter hour so that we can check that for you. You're not cheating. It's okay. Feel fine. I feel like some of them, they were like, we just want to be specific. It's okay. We're okay with that. So feel free to do that. So also some program allowable expenses are salaries and fringe benefits. The documentation approved by ADE CNU confirming the employee's hourly wage rate. That's a form that was in the packet as well, and you have to send that to us either before, like if you know that you're going to have some labor at the beginning, go ahead and send it to us beforehand or with that claim. Also, if you have new employees over time and you're adding them and they're to the list and they're providing labor, send that to us as you get them so we can keep it on file. And when we see that new employee on the claim, we'll already have their documentation, and we can go ahead and process your claim in a timely manner. So overtime will not be reimbursed, and labor and non-food supply costs should be minimal. Here is the confirmation of hourly pay rate for the FFVP grant workers. And here you would just put the worker's name, their regular pay rate, and fringe percentage. So administrative costs, they also allow that, like I said, the same with labor. We don't want it to be taxing or any difficulty for you to be able to implement this program. So they were gracious enough to add these costs in there so that you guys will be able to implement the program easily. The administrative costs include planning and managing the necessary paperwork required for the program. It's an allowable expense along with purchasing equipment necessary to implement the program. So it's any labor that's associated with the grant, and it is limited to no more than 10% of the total grant award. And I was talking to Miss Stephanie about this yesterday, and we were saying that she was reminding me that under the administrative costs, it can only be the administrative costs plus the purchasing of equipment cannot be any more than 10% of your total award, your total grant award. So definitely look into that when you're purchasing equipment, or also when you are claiming administrative costs. I know most of our schools don't even claim administrative costs for the paperwork. They just really want that most of that money to go to the kids and the students for the fresh fruits and vegetables. So we don't have a lot of administrative costs, but if you need it, it's there. But also consider that when purchasing equipment, that, you know, equipment can be quite expensive. So having a large, a pretty expensive piece of equipment and planning to have administrative costs, keep those scenarios in mind when thinking about whether or not you're going to purchase equipment or whether or not you feel like you have to have administrative costs. So like I said, administrative labor is just the labor that's required to plan, FFVP, manage the paperwork, procure equipment, all other aspects not related to the preparation and service of fresh fruits and vegetables. So equipment is the purchasing or leasing equipment for the preparation and service of foods for FFVP activities. To purchase equipment, and it's on the next slide, also in your folder, you would have to provide written justification and request to purchase FFVP equipment. It must be submitted It must be submitted and approved prior to purchase. Incomplete requests will not be approved, and no equipment purchases should be made using FFVP funds after November 30th, 2017. So we have that date in place because we want you to purchase it early on in the program so that you can utilize it all year to implement the program. So just keep that date in your back pocket, November 30th, 2017. Your equipment request must be submitted to our office and approved by that time. So that's something to consider as well beginning the program. Here is what the equipment request looks like. It's a pretty simple form. You can list the piece of equipment. I can barely see this. The justification for why you need the equipment. And then there are also some columns where you can put the number requested, the price for each, and the total. Oh, I guess I got that too. I didn't think about that. Thank you. And the total for the item. And then you submit it to us, and we'll either choose approved or denied based on what you submit. And we ask that you attach 3 quotes to this sheet. So we want to ensure competitive procurement. So we want you to kind of check with 3 different people, get the best quotes, and put them on here, and then we review. And generally most people, if it's the same equipment, they just pick the one at lowest cost, and we approve it and send it back to you so you can go ahead and purchase this. And I approve these as they come in, so just feel free to submit it. Oh, and at the bottom, answer the following: how many times per week how many times per week that you provide FFVP. And there are some other little questions at the bottom to answer. regarding equipment as well. And I think I'll talk about it later, a little bit about splitting it up and everything. So I'll just wait on that. We'll come back to this sheet and talk about equipment a little later. So the non-allowable expenses, even though we allow a lot, there are some things that are not included in this grant. And one of them is the nutrition educational materials and activities. Examples, field trips to orchards and classroom nutrition education lessons, they are not included in the grant. Also, the development of nutrition education materials is not included. But a little later on in the last module, we talk about several different websites and different resources that you can use that have free nutrition educational materials, and there's a lot of things out there that you could use. So even though it's not allowed, you still probably won't have to pay for anything unless it's your choice. We give you a lot of different resources that you can use along with implementing the program. So consumable nutrition educational materials, coloring books, stickers, promotional costs for the program, handouts, posters, etc., and providing FFVP to the community residents or adults who attend school functions. That is also not allowed. So we don't want to, use FFVP funds to have a bowl of apples out for open house or something like that. The grant is strictly for the students, and we want to make sure that they are able to utilize that money and get that fresh fruit and vegetable snack throughout the day. So also some non-allowable expenses, fresh fruits or vegetables for students to take home. We want them to eat it during the school day, so we don't want them to take it home or take it on the bus or anything like that. Indirect costs, administrative fees other than labor, and overtime. And I know we mentioned that previously. Funds can also not be used to purchase the following items: processed or preserved fruits or vegetables, canned, frozen, vacuum packed, or dried, any fruit or vegetable that is cooked in any way, including on-site. Here is an example of an allowable and a non-allowable product. The first product is pineapple, but it is like in a container. It's fresh pineapple. There's no juice or anything in there. Feel free to serve those. I know sometimes, like towards the end of the school year or just when they're busy, some of our schools like to purchase these just for, they can take them out and serve them to the students really quick. But the bottom picture is not allowable. This product it's like in a heavy syrup, and it's like a Dell cup, and we don't want to serve that. It's not fresh. It's in like a syrup, so that would not be allowed as an acceptable product for FFVP. Here are also some non-allowable fruits or vegetables. A fruit that has been injected with flavorings. And this is one that I didn't learn until I got here. I had no clue what it was, but it's a grapple, and it's an apple that's injected with grape flavoring. And I hear it's very popular among the students, but they are not allowable in the program because it's not in its original form. It's been altered, and some flavoring has been added. So even though we know that they like them, we don't want to serve that to the students using FFVP funds. Also, any dip for fruits and vegetables, dried fruit, jellied fruit, fruit strips, fruit drops, and fruit leather, fruit or vegetable juice, including fresh squeezed lemon juice for preserving, and pickled fruit or vegetables. Here are also some food items. We always get just some very interesting things. I always say it's because you guys are trying to be very creative with the fresh fruits and vegetables that you're serving. But sometimes we end up adding things that aren't allowable. When I first got here, I had a lady she was trying to claim smoothies, and she had the fruit, and then she had yogurt and milk and honey on there. And I was like, Miss Stephanie, like, I don't know. I had just started, and I was like, I don't think these are allowable. And she was like, well, I wanted to make fruit smoothies for the students. And I know she was really just trying to promote a healthy snack. And I mean, otherwise smoothies are pretty healthy, but the goal of our program is to serve fresh fruits and fresh vegetables, so we don't want to mix anything up. Or I had someone mention a salad at administrative review training, like lettuce and strawberries and then a vinaigrette. We're going to save that for y'all's great lunches in the lunchroom. And we're just going to serve the fresh fruits and vegetables for our program. So if you get to mixing and being really creative, know that it's probably not allowable. So just, try to stick to the fresh fruits and vegetables. We also have trail mix and cottage cheese, nuts, fruit or vegetable pizzas, fruit desserts, and ingredients in a fresh fruit or vegetable recipe. And also any fresh fruits or vegetables with added spices like cinnamon. Okay, so that's all the allowable and non-allowable expenses. Now we are moving to funding. And we're going to talk about how much is funded for allocation 1 and allocation 2. And there are two separate pots of money. Allocation 1, the amount of FFVP award for the first federal quarter is from July 1 to September 30th, 2017. And all of this was stated in your award letter, and that was also split up in the award letter for your total grant award, and then allocation 1, and under it was allocation 2. It may be obligated beginning July 1, 2017, and must be obligated by September 30th, 2017. So goods can be received in October, and funds must be expended by October 31st, 2017. That is the end of allocation 1. No allocation 1 claims will be accepted in November. Note, all labor for August and September is allocation 1. So allocation 2. It is the amount of FFVP award for the remainder of the federal grant period. The dates are from August 1st, 2017 to June 30th, 2018. It's available October 1st, 2017. The funds from allocation 2 must be obligated by May 31st, 2018. And no claims will be accepted after June 15, 2018. All labor for October through June is in allocation 2. Based on signed delivery invoices and signed timesheets. So we're talking about the FFVP claim for reimbursement, the claim that you'll submit monthly based on the fresh fruits and vegetables that you serve to your students. All school level invoices must be signed by the person receiving the delivery and approved for payment with the signature of the child nutrition director. So the invoices must stipulate changes attributed to each school awarded and signed by the child nutrition director and grant coordinator. And most of the time they're one and the same, but if not, invoices must be separated by the school and must be separated from other child nutrition invoices. So when you keep them, you might want to just go ahead and keep like a FFVP file with all the claims that you submit along with the supporting documents, the invoices that back up that claim. Just go ahead and keep a file. You can keep it where you keep your other child nutrition information, but designate it for FFVP so you don't confuse the two. The copies of the invoices must accompany the submitted claim and the claim form provided by ADECNU. One thing about invoices, and you'll probably hear little nuggets throughout the presentation, is we want very clear, clean invoices so that we can read them, because each month we go through and check them, and sometimes they're distorted and they're really hard to see. So if you don't want to hear from one of us 3 every month, just kind of try to send us clean invoices and check them yourself. Sometimes you could even, scan and maybe email them to yourself and see if they're clear. And if they aren't, then considering maybe mailing them to us, and we can definitely see them then. So the claims must be submitted no later than 60 days after the end of the claim period. Revised claims must be submitted within 90 days. Claims submitted after these dates may result in no reimbursement. See the handout that's provided either in your folder or as an attachment in the email that I sent out for the claim due dates each month. We have to ask for special permission from the regional office if you are late submitting your claim, like after that 90-day period, and it can only be done every 3 months. Every 3 years. Is that correct? So you don't want to use your only time, like on an FFVP claim, asking for permission, an extended period because you hadn't submitted it on time. It's when we get into it, it's a very simple claim. So just make sure to try to set aside some time to fill out that claim and attach just the necessary supporting documentation so you won't have to get any type of special permission or anything. So make sure to kind of remember that as well. So the FFVP fund account, a separate fund account for all FFVP purchases must be established, and a clear audit trail documenting all FFVP grant expenditures should be readily available. Tracking of expenditures should be by school, and reports must show financial and student participation activities by school award. So some general conditions of FFVP. The addendum to agreement is non-transferable. It is only for the awarded school. So that addendum is just for that school, and that money, the allocation 1, 2, and like the total grant award is just for that school. So we can't transfer any of that money to another school that you have in your district that may have the award. It's specifically for the awarded school. The addendum may be amended based on additional or revised guidance issued by USDA, and there is no obligation to renew. So applications are submitted on an annual basis, and it's not something that you're enrolled in each year. So just make sure that when we do the digital learning in February, that you're paying attention to that, and also know that generally the application is due mid-March. So just be looking for those things, especially if you want to continue having the program. The SFA must budget appropriately to expend FFVP funds. We recommend utilizing about 10% each of your total grant award each month, and I monitor the SFA funds each month now, and I have like an Excel sheet to kind of let you guys know if you get a little behind several months, to kind of give you a reminder like, hey, come on, you might want to spend some more of your money. And we usually we send out a grant expenditure improvement plan like in January or February to let you know if you haven't spent enough, and just let you know, like, we want you to sit down and kind of make a plan so that you can make sure that you spend most of your money. But now that I've been monitoring it every month, I try to catch it before that and just, say, you might want to spend a little more. Maybe, like you said, have a farmer's market or offer more than what you're offering just at that one sitting, because one FFVP snack is just whatever you provide to them at that point. So no one says that it has to be a small apple. It could be a small apple paired with a banana. So you might just need to do some different things to increase your spending. So, but you'll be in contact with me probably throughout the year. Well, probably none of y'all will, because y'all are going to spend your money, so you won't even hear from me. But if you do, it'll be just because I'm trying to encourage you to, use some of that money that you have. So also the ADE CNU may withdraw FFVP funding for demonstrated non-compliance. A corrective action plan may be required, and all procurement must follow the same local, state, and federal guidelines as the National School Lunch Program. So we're no different. We follow the same guidelines as the school lunch program as well. Records must be kept for 5 years and longer if unresolved audit findings. FFVP schools are subject to both announced and unannounced FFVP monitoring visits. So So when I come, I could come announce and unannounce, but generally I come just to have fun. Like watch the kids, eat. And I mean, most of the time the FFVP schools are doing what they're supposed to do. So I just enjoy coming to hang out with you guys. So when I come, don't be scared. Just like, hey Maya, what's up? So I just come to have fun, to be honest. So when I come, I do check some things, but you guys are generally so good about handling all these general conditions on a daily basis that I'm really just coming to see how much the kids are enjoying eating the fresh fruits and vegetables. Okay, so here is the deadline sheet that I said is in your packet, and also as an attachment. Like I said, post this somewhere so you can remind yourself of these dates. This year, I tried to send out an email to all my FFVP directors and contact people about those big dates, like the last day to purchase equipment and the last day to purchase non-food supplies. And so some of those big dates, I do try to send out a reminder. I know you guys are busy, so I'll send it out a week or two in advance, and maybe a week before that, a couple times, to let you know, like, this date is coming up. If you were planning to purchase something, do it now. So keep that in your backpack too, but I will send out some reminders. And look, we've already completed Module 1. Are there any questions regarding Module 1? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Okay, so the question is on ranch cups, and it was said that no dips can be provided with the FFVP funds. So that is true, but you can purchase ranch cups to pair with your fresh fruits and vegetables, but it cannot be purchased with FFVP funds. So you can use like other child nutrition funds to purchase those. Also, it's on the administrative review, and we'll talk a little bit about those questions. It's supposed to be low fat and no more than 2 tablespoons. So make sure to kind of check those when they come out. They'll be looking, your area specialist will be looking at that. But that's something that why it's not included is because we just want them to get used to eating fresh fruits and vegetables without it. No, if it is purchased with other money, it won't be, that's okay, that's fine. So it's allowable, but we just don't allow it with our funds. And we do have some schools who pair ranch cups with, some of those vegetables that they probably won't eat without it. But just make sure that you're spending your money or child nutrition or some other source of money on that and not FFVP. Oh, yes, that's a good one. It can't be a carrot and ranch package in one container. You know how you can get those vacuum packed at Walmart, those quick, that can't be served and purchased with FFVP because you still have that ranch packet connected to those carrots. Does that answer your question? Okay, great. Yes, ma'am.
So what you're saying, we can use the ranch packet that they be using as an individual, long as it's not with.
Yes, and as long as you're using another source to pay for that. Yes, ma'am.
Just remind them the reason it can't be together is because we can't tell how much money was for the ranch.
Okay, yes. Also, the reason that you can't purchase the carrots with the ranch paired together is because we can't differentiate what was spent on the ranch and what was spent on the carrots. Anyone else have any questions? Do we have any online? No questions? I like no questions. Oh yeah, let's take a 5-minute break and then we'll resume with Module 2. Okay, we're gonna start back up with Module 2. So the objectives for the second module are to accurately complete an FFVP claim for reimbursement, list the items required for documentation for a FFVP claim for reimbursement, describe the claim submission process, identify all FFVP forms, and also discuss appropriate budgeting techniques for school allocations for FFVP. Uh-oh, I didn't even go to the next slide. Okay, there you go. So a review for your funding, the total grant award is Allocation 1 funding and Allocation 2 funding. And it was listed on your award letter, so it kind of broke it down, but also that total grant is just combination of Allocation 1 and Allocation 2. Allocation 1 funding is a smaller pot of money. It is from July 1st, 2017 to September 30th, 2017. Anything obligated, ordered, whether received or not, prior to September 30th will come from Allocation 1 funding. Do not order for the entire semester in August. Allocation 2 funding, which is a larger pot of money, is from October 1st, 2017 to June 30th, 2018. Everything is based on when the food item was served. So when in doubt, think serving date. So here are some examples based on the information that I just told you about Allocation 1 and Allocation 2. So we're kind of going to go over where these orders are paid from, whether it's Allocation 1 or Allocation 2. So if you order apples on September 2nd to be served on September 9th, which pot of money would it come from, Allocation 1 or Allocation 2? Correct. So it is paid for from Allocation 1. You ordered apples on September 29th to be served on October 2nd. Since the invoice date is October, you will have 2 October claims, one for each allocation. Which pot of money is this scenario paid from? And take your time and kind of. Also, those that are watching online, I kind of blanked out these slides, so you can also take some time to think about it. And then when I post the answer, just write them in. Anyone? So it is paid from Allocation 1. Because you ordered on September 29th, but it's to be served on October 2nd. The invoice date is October, but you will have 2 October claims. So you'll have an October claim for Allocation 1. You'll have an October claim because it was you might have to. I was like, Well, I'm going to pass the mic to Miss Stephanie. I get confused on Allocation 1 and Allocation 2 sometimes, so we'll let her.
So in this scenario, since you ordered it, obligated it in September, it's still Allocation 1. And you will have 2 October claims because anything that you ordered in September and served in October, you're still serving in October, so you still need a claim for that, right? So you have some of your serving days in October coming out of Allocation 2 money, and you have some coming out of Allocation 1 money. For example, a lot of schools will order what they need by week. So the last week of September, you're ordering for the first week of October, right? So most of those invoices, let's say for the first week of October, will need to be an October Allocation 1 claim to finish out your Allocation 1 pot. Then, like the second, third, and fourth week of October, you're ordering within the month of October, right? You're ordering after that October 1st changeover in the pot of money. So you will have an October Allocation 2 claim as well. That is the only month that will happen in, and it's because of the changeover in the federal fiscal years.
Thank you, Miss Stephanie. So, like I said, I get even a little confused about these dates. And in the office, those 2 months are a little crazy just because we are going through and checking, okay, well, they ordered in September and this was the last day. So if you are confused and you just like, I heard her talk about it during training, I even heard Miss Stephanie explain it wonderfully, but I do not know what I'm supposed to do. Feel free to call myself or Miss Debbie or Miss Kelly or Miss Stephanie, because sometimes if you call me, I'll just pass you right on her. But and we will help you with those months because they can be very confusing because of the switch in the money. So feel free to call us during those months if you're unsure of, you know, which claim, if you need a claim for allocation 1 or a claim for allocation 2 or one for each. So the next scenario is you ordered equipment on September 1st to be delivered on October 15th.
Similar situation.
Which pot of money would it be paid from? So it just has paid from allocation 1, but it'll be on the allocation 2 claim. Okay. So it is paid for from allocation 1. So like Ms. Stephanie said, it's a similar situation. Because you purchased it, it would be the money would come from allocation 1, but you would also list it on your allocation 2 claim because that's when it was delivered. Does that make sense?
You listed on your October claim.
Oh, October claim. What did I say?
Allocation 2.
Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. October claim. It's still allocation 1. It's just an October claim. Okay. And the last scenario is you ordered apples on October 1st to be served on October 9th. Anyone? Pot of money? Yes. Pay for from allocation 2. That was the easy one after those tough ones.
And some people plan for it that way.
Okay.
Hold that order until October 1st, so you can talk to your vendor.
Okay. So Miss Stephanie was saying that some people plan for it that way. They hold their order until October 1st just so they won't even have to deal with all of that switching of the money. And we do have some that do that. It's easier on them probably and a little easier on us. So up to you if you want to have 2 claims, or if that's the way that works best for you, we will work it out in the office. But if you also want to hold that order until the 1st of October so that you know it's on just 1 claim, that's also an option. So September and October. September invoices will be on the September claim and paid from allocation 1 funds. October invoices that are delivered in October but ordered in September will be on an October allocation 1 claim and paid from allocation 1 funds. October invoices that are ordered and delivered in October will be on an October allocation 2 claim. Some schools will have 2 October claims and are paid from allocation 2 funds. Make sure to check your order dates and watch your remaining balance. And the remaining balance is on the claim. It shows each month. So I'll show you guys where that is when we talk a little bit more about the claim for reimbursement. So why in the world will we do this? And like Stephanie mentioned when she gave the explanation to one of the scenarios, is the federal fiscal year changes on October 1st of each year. Visualize this change like you do the change of the state fiscal years that affect your schools on July 1. I think they do it just to confuse me. But this is the reason why we have to have that change in September and October. So the instructions for FFVP claim for reimbursement, and there is a sheet in your packet as well as an attachment in the email. To complete the reimbursement claim for each school receiving an FFVP grant, do not complete one form for the district. So each school must have a claim. Complete the school information and claim information sections of this form. Be sure to select the correct funding allocation on your claim. Your claim will not calculate correctly. So if you don't select allocation 1 or allocation 2, it won't calculate that first top sheet correctly. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. Do not select both funding allocations for the same form. So it's either an allocation 1 claim or an allocation 2 claim. So here I have how to submit your claim. And this year we've been doing a lot of scanning in the claim as well as the invoices, and you can email it to Miss Kelly or Miss Debbie or myself. I had a few schools this year that I approved, and they emailed it to me, and it worked really well to me. The invoices were really clear, and you were able to just click a button and I had it in my email and you could call me and I'm like, yes, I have it here. But for those who don't have the capability of scanning an email or just would prefer to fax, I did include that fax cover sheet, and you still can fax the completed claim and all the invoices to our office, and the number is listed there. Keep the signed original FFVP claim for reimbursement in the school's FFVP file with supporting invoices and other required documentation. Definitely just make sure, like I said, to keep a file. You can keep it with your other child nutrition information, but just let it be designated just for FFVP items only. And it'll help both of us. Sometimes we have some issues along the way throughout the year. So if you have your own documentation and we have it, we can compare and kind of, get those situations or difficulties. We can handle them if we have proper documentation. So approving claims. Any corrections that are made while approving the claim at ADECNU, we scan a copy of the revision that we made to your claim, and we will email it to you so that you will be able to correct your claim for the next month. So we approve claims as they come in, and we try to we'll scan the corrections on the top and show you, where there might have been some errors in adding, or you might have not moved your prior year to date over to the year. So we'll talk about all of that. I don't want to confuse you right now, but if we scan a copy and send it to you so that you can put those corrected numbers on your next month's claim. Because sometimes we'll have a small issue in September, and if you don't correct it in October, then it just continues to go on throughout the year and your numbers are never correct. It's the person's responsibility to notify any other bookkeepers, the child nutrition director, or the FFVP coordinator of any changes to the claim. So if you're the child nutrition director, you're our contact person. And if your bookkeeper is the one who does your claim, or they put it together for you and you send it in, we'll probably correspond with you, and it's your responsibility to correspond with that bookkeeper to make sure that they are notified of the changes that we've corrected on your claim. If a school has consistent problems with their claim, it may jeopardize the school's involvement for FFVP in the future. So, we don't want any of those issues. We want y'all to continue to be able to keep having the program. So if it's something small like that, just make sure to be in correspondence with us so we can help you fix it. So the FFVP claim form, it's has a front page and 2 itemized pages. The itemized pages calculate the amounts and transfer them to the front page. So, you don't have to move all the numbers around. It kind of populates that information for you. It's an Excel form, so it can be corrupted. So be careful. Just enter in what the necessary numbers. Don't try to enter in extra things or delete cells. Just enter it with care because it will corrupt and you'll end up sending in probably a crazy claim form. Start with a clean form each month. We have some, and I know it's probably easier, but it makes for easy. You can make more mistakes by listing fruits that you normally serve and then kind of deleting them if you don't serve them in October and adding them for November. It's an easier way to make a mistake. So we just recommend starting with a clean form each month to make sure that there are no errors. And it is available on the child nutrition website. And like I said, after the training, the 2017-18 form will be available, but I did email it to all of you all, so you'll have it for whenever you decide to start. So I wanted to show you on the Excel document, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. So what I'm going to do is just kind of show you, this is the older form, so it does not have the correct date, but the only thing that we changed on it was the date. It's still the same form. I'm going to pull out mine out the folder so I can see. Okay, so at the top is where you list your school information, the name of the school address, the name of the district, the name of the contact person, and your 7-digit LEA. Please list your 7-digit LEA. Don't list the 4 digits at the end, or, you know, the district, I don't know. Just list that school LEA. And I have some schools that they say they start on a clean form, but they go ahead and just enter this in and like make copies of that top part, and that doesn't change. So if you don't touch down here and just, you know, kind of already pre-make yourself some copies with that school information entered in correctly, that could save you a little time. So consider that. So that's the school information. Oh, it also has your contact fax number and email address. So the next section is where we were discussing where you would check off whether it's allocation 1 or allocation 2. And when they're false right now because there's no check mark, but when you check, it'll say true. So you only want one box to be checked. They shouldn't be blank. So one box should be checked for each claim, whether it's allocation 1 or allocation 2. So you should have a true and a false at all times in your claim. So then a little to the right of that is the total award amount. And here you would type in your total award amount that's listed on your award letter, as well as your allocation 1 amount and allocation 2 amount. That also will not change. So if you want to keep that in one of your, you know, forms and not mess with that and maybe create multiple copies, you know, you'll have one each month. You can do that as well. So this information below that changes. Well, hold on, let me go back. So also you would list your claim period, which it might be from September 1st to the end of September 31st or 30th or whatever. So you might want to list that, and then the number of operating days, how many days you actually served FFVP within that month. So it might be if you serve, you know, twice a week, because that's the minimum, then you'd have 8 days of serving days. But some have more because they serve more than 2 days a week. Also check whether or not it's an original claim or a revised claim. So make sure to put that on there, and it's to the right of the claim period. So here we are moving down to, this is allocation 1, the front sheet, and this is where it will total up your prior year to date, this claim, the year total, and the remaining award amount, like I mentioned previously on that side. So this is allocation 1 and this is allocation 2. So I'm going to show you where they get those numbers from. Oh, I'm skipping. I'm running ahead. Okay, at the bottom, make sure that you have an authorized official signature. Whoever is an authorized official to sign your claims that you have submitted to our office that signs your other claims, like your National School Lunch Program and breakfast claims. Whoever you have that's authorized to sign that, make sure that they sign. Sometimes it's a superintendent, sometimes it's a bookkeeper, sometimes the superintendent has given that authorization to a child nutrition director. Whoever is on your signature list that is authorized to sign, have them to sign this, and then print the name and title, and also who the claim was prepared by, and then the date. And we need those signatures each month. If they're not there, we'll end up calling and asking for them. So just kind of make sure, think about that your claim is not complete unless you have those signatures at the bottom. So here are the itemized pages that I talked about previously, and this is where you enter all the goodies. The top part is the operating cost for fresh fruits and vegetables. So it is just the fresh fruit that you have purchased within that month. You're going to enter the product description, the number of units, size and weight of the shipping unit, and cost per unit. And you enter it in each column, and it will populate to give you a total fresh fruit cost. And then it also populates to the front. I'll go back. Under that row, whichever allocation it is, that says fresh fruits and vegetables. And it'll actually be a combination of the fresh fruit column, which is our fresh fruit section, which is the first one, and the second one. Hold on. Well, I guess it doesn't have a circle. The second one. The second section is fresh vegetables. So they are split up into two. Remember that. Fresh fruits and vegetables don't go under the first section. They're split up. The fresh fruits go under the first section, fresh vegetables. And then at the bottom of the fresh vegetables, there's a total fresh fruit and vegetable. There's a fresh fruit and vegetable total that then will populate to that front sheet under the fresh fruits and vegetables row. So it does it for you. If you fill in these last two sheets correctly, that front sheet will be perfect. And you can just send it on to us. The next section is the direct labor. And like I said, it's the labor that directly is related to preparing or serving fresh fruits and vegetables. And here you will list the employee name, their hours, their wage per hour, and their fringe percentage. And it will give us a total for the direct labor costs. On the third page, the first section are the non-food supplies, and those are the supplies that I said that are pretty much disposable for one-time use to implement the program. You'll list those there, and it also reminds you of the ordering date deadline, so it's a good reminder right there as well. The section under that is administrative costs, which is limited to 10% of the grant. You will list the employee name, the number of hours, wage per hours, and fringe percentage. And then the bottom part is for the equipment. So when you purchase, after you have received your approval from us and you have ordered it, then you can put it on your claim, and this is the spot for it, this last section on the third page. This is just an example of an invoice. In the past, we've had an activity with it, but we just kind of wanted you to see kind of what the invoices should look like when they come to us. Hold on, I'm gonna catch up. This is Branscombe Food Service, and there's a list of fresh vegetables and fresh fruits. And this is the information that we would want you to put on your claim each month. Doppelhammer Food Service, same, just entering that information on your claim. McBride Supply. Oh, it's something on here. Hold on. Well, maybe not. I don't even think I put those in here. Okay. Yes, these are just some sample invoices. Okay, so moving on to add equipment to the claim. Prior to ordering, you must submit an equipment request form, including 3 quotes from vendors. And we looked at that form. It's in your packet or an attachment online. And ADE will approve this form, sign it, and fax a copy back. Mostly scan and email, because I'm the one that approves it. So I just scan and email everything. Scan and email a copy back to their school for the records. As soon as you get that copy back to us or word from us that we've approved it, feel free to proceed with ordering the equipment. The equipment must be ordered by November 30th, 2017. Anything ordered after that deadline will not be reimbursed. So make sure to pay attention to that deadline, and I will send out an email to remind you guys if you've forgotten and you wanted to purchase some equipment to implement FFVP. The equipment cost must be divided between FFVP and any other program if the equipment will not be used for 100% of the time in FFVP. So we do have some schools that purchase like maybe coolers or carts that they use for FFVP, but they also use for their regular child nutrition programs. We would want you to split that cost probably in half. If you're going to use half of it for FFVP and half for your school lunch and breakfast programs, then we'd split that cost with them on that equipment. So if it's not solely being used for FFVP, we want to, you would just show that the cart costs this much and we're going to pay for half of the price of the cost and maybe the shipping and delivery charges. So you would just want to note that on your equipment request and also on your claim form. The tax and shipping for equipment are also allowable cost. Equipment versus supplies. Equipment is anything that can be used more than once, including totes, plastic boxes, and other items for delivery to classrooms. Supplies are anything that can be thrown away after one use. They're disposable, napkins, plasticware, plastics, paper sacks, and etc. Allowable items under supplies also include fuel charges and taxes on supplies. So if you do have fuel charges for the delivery of those items, be sure to list it under your supplies. And I like it, and I think Ms. Debbie and Ms. Kelly also like it, when you just go ahead and list the item and then list under it the tax for the item. Just make them separate so that they're easily identifiable from the invoice to our claim, so we can see. I would just list it like it's on there. Don't try to add it in. I think it was one lady, she was telling me she was trying to do math to add it in there, because even on the invoice it was separate, and then we had to do math to undo it to make sure that it looks like it did on the invoice. So just go ahead and list it just like it is on the invoice, and that helps us out a lot. Tax on food is not allowable. State law identifies school food service programs and an exemption from food taxes. So here is that equipment request form again. And like I said, it'll be online under forms if you happen to forget it, but it's also in the email that I sent you all. So to add labor to a claim, direct labor, you need to submit that pay confirmation sheet on file to you must submit that pay confirmation sheet to ADE CNU. Time sheets for each employee on the claim approved by the supervisor, and we won't accept time sheets for the whole year submitted in May. So submit those time sheets with each claim each month. The administrative labor pay confirmation for those individuals that are claiming administrative labor, time sheets for each employee on that claim needs to be submitted and approved by the supervisor, and also don't want you to submit them all in May, so just make sure to submit it with each claim. This is what that form looks like. Pretty simple. Like I said, just submit it as the time goes on. If you get new people that you want to claim, just submit it throughout the year and we'll add it to our file. Here is the monthly timesheet. Did he say that you'd be able to enter it in the claim? No. Okay. Well, I showed y'all the claim. Usually, like I said, we have a sample activity, and I was gonna enter it in on the computer, but I think it was gonna be pretty difficult to see. So if you have any questions, just feel free to call us if you have any questions on how to fill out the claim. Oh, well, that's a
And send it to you
okay.
if they wanted to practice.
Okay.
And I would be glad to go through those with you.
Okay. Well, that's a good idea. Miss Stephanie suggested if you wanted to practice the filling out a claim, you could use these invoices that we have here to fill it in, and you could email it to myself, and I can look through them and tell you if they're correct. And if you just kind of want to get a little experience filling out the claim, that'd be fine as well. So feel free. These are the invoices that we use in that claim activity to fill out. We also have, even an example here with that card being used for FFVP as well as other child nutrition programs, and they're only using half on the, I can't even see that. I think it says Brown and Branson Supply. So pay attention to that. But if you want to fill it out and send it in to me, that'd be fine. And I'd look through them and let you know if they were correct or not, just so you'd have a little experience with them. It's also a time sheet that's filled out. Did anybody have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Make sure I'm clear.
Okay.
The form for the employees that we're gonna ask to be approved, the hourly wage form.
Mm-hmm.
A new one needs to be done for every employee, even if they did it last year.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, I'm sorry. I forget. We had a question that she was wondering whether or not they needed to fill out a pay confirmation sheet for each employee, even if they had the program last year and the employee has the same, pay information and everything. And yes, we do need a new confirmation sheet for this school year with the employee's name, their hourly pay rate, and their fringe benefits signed by the supervisor. So thank you. Yes, ma'am. So again, here are the FFVP forms, the facts cover sheet. Here's a FFVP quote sheet, and it's just a sample for your usage if you want to kind of use it to write down the vendors that you speak to and the quotes that they give you, just kind of like a draft or something that you could keep up with that information on your own. We've provided that. And here is the FFVP administrative review on-site tool. So as you know, we are doing administrative reviews this year, and for those that have, for those schools that are reviewed that have FFVP, the area specialist comes and they do have some questions in the administrative review pertaining to FFVP. Some of the questions we handle in-house, and we will take care of those with the area specialist, but there are some that they check on site. And this is just a good tool that you can kind of use on site to evaluate yourself and make sure that you are implementing FFVP and record keeping, procurement, and sanitation, that you're following all of those guidelines. And you can mark yes, no. You could use that comment section if you aren't sure about something and contact us and make sure. It would just be a good tool to kind of go through and self-evaluate before they come for the review, to make sure that you're in compliance with all those things before they come. So just keep that as well. And here are both two documents that provide the regulations for FFVP in Arkansas. They both apply to your program. I did include the USDA handbook in the attachments that I sent to you in your email. So if you want to, go through there and read, feel free. We've included everything that you need to know in this presentation, but feel free to have that document on hand. And also the addendum, we went through that in detail, and that's also what you signed as an agreement between the school and child nutrition as far as having the FFVP program. So budgeting, always fun to talk about budgets. So the SFA must budget appropriately to expend FFVP funds. And this year I've spent a lot of time trying to just encourage our schools to use that money that they have in the grant, because it is for the students, and we want them to be able to utilize that money and get those snacks throughout the day. So I have talked to several directors and just schools that I felt like they exhibited great budgeting skills this year. They had no money left to very little money, and they gave me some tips on how they budget their money. So I just wanted to share those with you guys. A couple of the schools or people that I talked to, they said that they divide the allocations, whether it's allocation 1 and allocation 2, by the number of weeks or number of days planned to serve FFVP. So this is my little example. If allocation 1 was $3,500 and there were 8 weeks in that allocation, then they would divide $3,500 by 8 and $437.50 per week. So if they already are looking at that and they're saying, I need to spend about $437 a week to spend all my money in allocation one. They said that they felt like that was a good like starting place to know how much they needed to buy per week for it. And so I thought that was really simple. I know we talk about the 10% of your total grant award each month, but if this is a way that you feel like is more helpful for you, feel free. You are not obligated to just looking at it by that 10%. However, it's best for you to kind of formulate a plan to spend your money throughout the year. Also, I thought about that, but they were telling me too, some of the ones that did really well with spending their money is they considered holidays and days when school was not in session. So Thanksgiving and Christmas and spring break and even the end of school year, because they get out like mid-May or late May. They knew that there was a week that they weren't going to be able to serve. So considering all those dates and even subtracting those from the weeks that they're going to be serving, they said really helped them be able to kind of formulate a plan and utilize that money to the best of their ability. Also planning for special days like farmers markets. You know that though when you have those events, you're going to buy a large amount of fresh fruits and vegetables. So plan for those, you know, in advance, and maybe put that on your calendar. Farmers market this week. So maybe I might not serve, but have the farmers market and then have a light FFVP the next another day during that week, and that's all you have for that week. So kind of just make sure to think of those things while you're budgeting and planning so that you can spend all of your money throughout the year. So here is also some information that could be helpful when planning your budget. You have allocation 1, which I said $5.73 per student, and allocation 2, which you have $45 per student. Also add in your administrative costs, your operating costs, and all of those factors also go into budgeting. So, you know, if they knew that they were spending $400 a month, that's how much they had from the allocation, then they needed to make sure that it included labor if they had it, or administrative fees, or even equipment, you know, from that allocation 1 and pot in the first part of allocation 2 before the end of November. So just think through those things. I encourage you before you even start the program this year to formulate a plan so that you know, won't go in blind and know exactly how much you want to spend each month with the Fresh Fruit and Vegetables program. Like I said, the remaining balance is tracked on your claim each month, and it is that section to the far right in each section. In allocation 1 and allocation 2, check that number so you can see how much you might have to reevaluate your budgeting form and, you know, go with the remaining. Maybe you got off a little bit, then you might need to start over and look at that number again and kind of create another budget sheet based off what you have remaining. And it's also a good tool to help you stay on track with how much you're spending. We also keep a remaining balance worksheet for all schools, so if you just can't find it, we can assist you with that too and direct you and make sure that our numbers are matching up as well. So like I said, we recommend about 10% of the total grant award each month as just a rule of thumb. We monitor, like I said, I monitor pretty closely now. I try to monitor it every month. So if it's a couple months that you've been a little under 10%, probably send you a friendly email and say, you know, spend your money. You got not free money, but lots of money to spend that, I don't know, I have no problem spending money, so I would probably be all off budget. So, but just feel free to spend that money freely. Don't feel like you have to be frugal. Get things that they would like, that are exotic, that are different. So this is a program where we want to encourage the consumption of fresh fruits and vegetables, but different fresh fruits and vegetables as well. So just spend that money freely and don't feel like you have to hoard the money, and just spend. And I'll encourage you to do that throughout the month. I'll just say, I might just send you an email and say, spend your money. Like, I'm looking at it. You are being too frugal. Spend. So don't be offended by the letter. Like I said, that we sent out in January, February, that if you haven't been spending enough, we sent out a grant expenditure improvement action plan to be signed. Don't be offended. It's just we really want you to spend that money. So we do whatever we can possible to help you spend it. this is the end of module 2. We are rolling. Are there any questions about? Go for it. No, it is very helpful.
That bid process, we've already awarded the bid to one of our public vendors. Is it necessary to go through that process again, or are we able to go with the vendors, with the vendor we've already selected for the national selection?
That's fine. Oh, the question was they've already selected the bid, like they've already selected the vendor that they want to go with for the rest of the year, and they were wondering, do they need to re-go through that process, or can they just go with whomever else is servicing them for the school lunch and breakfast program? And the answer to that is you can go with whoever you've selected for that program as well. Yes, ma'am. Any other questions? Any online questions? Okay. We can take another 5-minute break since we're moving along pretty well. Y'all can take a rest. Okie dokie. So the objectives for this module are to describe federal and state procurement regulations related to FFVP, describe the benefits of farm to school and how FFVP can utilize the farm to school process, identify resources for success in FFVP, and also identify common mistakes and oversights in FFVP. A note I had is FFVP, think about it as the same as your other programs. And in regards to procurement, we just want to emphasize ensuring open and free competition is occurring. So all FFVP procurement must follow the same local, state, and federal guidelines as the National School Lunch Program. The USDA FFVP Handbook is a guide for federal procurement guidelines. The FFVP Addendum is a guide for state procurement guidelines. So here are some potential vendors or suppliers. They include wholesalers, brokers, local grocery stores, farmers markets, orchards, and local growers. So these are some people that you can consider when looking for vendors or suppliers for your fresh fruit and vegetables for the program. A reminder, produce purchased with FFVP funds is meant to be used in the fresh fruit and vegetable program only. Review the allowable and unallowable expenses, and they cannot be used in the National School Lunch or Breakfast Program. We are a program outside of those two, and it's not to be served during those times or used in those programs. So geographic preference. What defines geographic preference is purchasing locally grown products to maximize extent, practicable, and appropriate. The district defines what is deemed as locally grown. So local can be in that specific county, in that region, or the whole state if that's what the district defines as locally grown. It's, like I said, at the district's discretion, not required, and it may only be applied to the procurement of unprocessed agricultural products. So it only applies to fresh fruits and vegetables for our program. FFVP provisions must be met. For example, produce must be fresh, and already sliced and bagged items are permissible in the program as long as they're, not in heavy syrup or anything like that. Must be fresh. Here is the SP 08 2010, and it's a memo on geographic preference for the procurement of unprocessed agricultural products in the child nutrition programs, and you can find that on our website. So also we want to talk a little bit about Buy American, and here is pretty much we just want to keep the money in the United States. It applies to FFVP funds. Under this provision, SFAs are required to purchase to the maximum extent practicable domestic commodity or product. Products can be anywhere in the U.S., and also these U.S. territories are allowed. Other products must be considered. There are limited expectations, and it should be the last resort to purchase outside of the U.S. Buy American justification form. So it is on our website, and it's under the CNU memo, CNU 16039, and there's the justification form. So because we do promote different fruits and vegetables, things that you might not normally serve in your program, some exotic fresh fruits and vegetables. Like I know we had a school a couple years ago, they served jackfruit, and she was only able to get it from Kroger. And with items like that, you might have to provide a justification form if it wasn't purchased in the U.S. or one of the U.S. territories. So make sure to print off that form and fill it out and keep it on file. So when they come on a review, you have it on file that, yes, I did serve something that was outside of the U.S. or the territories, and your justification would be for the fresh fruit and vegetable program. I wanted to expose my students to something different, more exotic, so that's why I purchase something that wasn't in the U.S. or their territories. Like it says, CNU will be conducting procurement reviews in the future, this year and in future years, and that's something that they'll be looking for. Oh, I thought you were looking. So that is Buy American. Also, we want to ensure compliance, considering ordering through the DoD Fresh, the Department of Defense Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program. So this program is not the same as ours. I know it gets confusing because we kind of share the same name, but they are, it's not the same as our program, but the Child Nutrition FFVP program may purchase through the DoD Fresh program. It uses a large network of produce suppliers to distribute a wide variety of American growth fresh produce directly to schools. Cost is unusually reasonable, and the commodity office can help you set that up. Remember, you still must ensure that the products that you purchase from DoD Fresh are still from the U.S. and the territories. So even though you're getting some items from DoD Fresh, and you can use that entity to purchase items for our program, still make sure to check. Just cover yourself and check and make sure those items are from the U.S. or U.S. territories. And if not, then, you know, you might need a justification for that if it is something you want to keep, or, you know, just to cover yourself and make sure that they are all from the U.S. and their territories. Buying produce from local grocery stores and farmers markets. Be sure to buy from reputable farmers that follow good agricultural practices. Contact your local county extension service for a list of farmers in your area. Supporting farm to school projects by purchasing produce from growers and farmers in your community. So for more information on the Farm to School initiative, feel free to check out this link. So we do encourage, you know, local produce from around, and just check and make sure that they are a reputable farmer. But I think students love to see, you know, strawberries from down the road somewhere, or if you could, and we want to incorporate and be able to partner with Farm to School in that. So we do allow that in the program. Farm to School Market Maker. This is a site that you can search for sources of fresh local produce in your area. So check that out. And here is a screenshot of it. You can go in there and research items and find businesses. So this is definitely something to look at if you're not aware of what local farms you might have around your area. So local procurement guidelines or guides were distributed at the Child Nutrition Directors Conference in 2015. So if you were there, kind of look for that. See if you have that still on file. They're also available on the Child Nutrition Unit website. So you can also find that guide on our website if you are in need to look at that. Ooh. So FFVP tips for success. I have given you several tips that we've learned from districts throughout the years, but I have two special guests. I'm pretty excited about this, from Lighthouse Academies, and they have 3 different campuses, one in Capital City, Jacksonville, and Palm Bluff. And they had the program this year for Jacksonville and Capital City, and this year they have all 3 schools, so they're pretty excited. But Miss Jerry Sundermeyer and Miss Crutchfield are going to talk to you guys about just tips for success. This was their first year, and they did an extraordinary job, and I just want them to kind of encourage you and motivate you and fire you up for this upcoming FFVP school year. So I'm going to let them take over. Okay. You wanna come up here? Oh yes, and they have a couple pictures. They have a little PowerPoint that they want to share with you guys. I don't know. Get there. And this is clear. click or you can just click to the one.
So you can do that now.
Okay.
Here go your clicker.
Huh?
Your clicker.
Oh, we have to use that?
You have to use it for your
Hi, I'm Jerry Sundermeyer, and I am with Lighthouse Academies. This is Miss Lynn Crutchfield. She is our manager at our Jacksonville campus. Last year when I attended the class, I knew I went back to our school. I knew the specific guidelines that we needed to follow, so I went over those with our managers, and so we came up with a program that was going to hopefully work for us. The project is definitely not for one person. You have to include everyone because it is a team project. Lighthouse Academies has a model focus on incorporating arts and fusion into everyday life lessons. By using the FFVP, we hope to use that same model to reach our scholars by teaching them different types, colors, textures, and taste of our fruits and vegetables. So Miss Crutchfield,
You can use it, go to the
Oh.
right, if you're, when you're ready to show your pictures.
Miss Crutchfield worked with our teachers, and I'm going to let her tell you some of the things that we did, and I'll show you some of our pictures.
Oh, you can talk about this one right here.
No,
The election.
Okay, this class right here, Ms. Bradley Fulton, when it was time for the election, she had incorporated the fresh fruit and vegetable program in that, which was very interesting because the kids was really engaged in it right there. And then I just want to touch bases on this right here. I go and print out colored paper for cartoons for the kindergartens through second grade. Believe me, if you make it fun for them, you know, your heart would be so big. You know, I'd be like, oh my goodness, because they'll call us to the classroom to tell us what they have learned, and they really excited about the color and pictures. And then with the older kids, third through sixth grade, I give fun facts to them. And that's talking about whatever fruit or vegetables that we're having that week, especially the black Arkansas black apple. The teachers was very excited about this because they was like me. A lot of them didn't know we had it, and when we got it, they tasted. The kids really enjoy the Arkansas black apple and the Asian pears and everything. But what you put into this program is what you're going to get out of it. I'm very excited. I go in there, I listen to the kids, and they'll come to you and ask you, well, Miss Crutchfield, can we have this? They love the bell peppers, the different color bell peppers and everything.
That's the Arkansas
So,
black apples.
yes, that's the Arkansas black apple. So, like I said, if you excited about the program, the teachers are excited, and the kids will be excited. Like the farmers market. Oh my goodness, they really enjoy. And see, we had the different colors. We had the hallway decorated and everything. So they will get excited for it. I'm about to give this back to Miss Sundermeyer.
National Banana Day.
Yes.
We did do a lot. As far as financing, I did take our allotment and I divided it out by the weeks we'd be serving, and kind of went by that. So I knew in like November we wouldn't be serving as many days. So that's when we decided to do the farmers market. So we could spend all of our money for that month. I think Maya, did I not? I spent almost all of our money. I'm going to spend it on those children. I love those children. We also kind of go through and we do look and say, okay, like Miss Crutchfield just told me today, she goes, it's National Zucchini Day. Well, man, if we were in school, we could have served some zucchini. But we had National Banana Day. And so we had our manager at Capital City. Thank goodness for him. He didn't mind dressing up in a banana suit. He delivered the bananas that day to the classes. Here's some of our sixth graders that helped him. They loved it. They had so much fun. They were so excited when he came in. So we just did things like that. I loved hearing the stories from the kids. We served so many different types of apples, different types of pears. You know, there's red pears. We tried to do all of that so they could taste the differences, because they all taste different. Ms. Crutchfield had one student that wanted to have peppers. So we said, okay, we can do that. We just got the different types of peppers, and then for that, they just took a thing, what did each pepper taste like? So they're learning. We did the Arkansas history as far as the Arkansas apples, the Asian pears, because the Asian pears actually come from the Ouachitas here in Arkansas. We wanted to do the watermelons. They come from Cave City and Hope. Arkansas strawberries, right up the road from us, we have several good farmers that have the strawberries. So we know in May we're going to get the strawberries. So we had a lot of fun with the program. I loved when the kids would come to us and say, what are we having today? Or we're not going to have it today, it's tomorrow. One went to our principal and said, I didn't get my fresh fruit yesterday. And they came to me and I'm going, oh my goodness, why? Well, she was absent. And she said, I will never be absent on fresh fruit or vegetable day again because she missed it so much. We just tried to give them things that they're not going to get at home. We did the blood oranges. And I even cut one to look what it looked like, and I was going, oh, I don't think I would want that. But they loved it. So it's just a lot of fun for us. I get excited when I talk about it because I just love doing this for the children. They enjoy it so much. So just really, it's a lot of work, but it's fun, and the rewards are amazing. So thank you.
So thank you, Miss Sundermeyer and Miss Crutchfield, for kind of, encouraging them and letting them know all the fun possibilities and things that you can do with the program. I asked her couple weeks ago, maybe last week, to speak, and she was just as excited as she was up here talking to you guys about coming. She was like, yes, let me check on it. But I could tell how much fun they had with the program all year, and I just want all of our schools to know that we really want you to have fun with our program. There are a couple, you have to submit your claim and a couple things like that, but we want the students to be able to experience different fresh fruits and vegetables, but we also just want the staff and the teachers to be able to have some fun with it and be creative with what they can do with those fresh fruits and vegetables. So I'm going to continue to talk, the PowerPoint, about some FFVP resources. Like I mentioned, a lot of your resources cannot be purchased with FFVP funds, but we did provide different websites and where you can get free materials that you can print off, or like Ms. Crutchfield mentioned, you can print off coloring pages and different things where you can have some inexpensive items to share with the students when you serve the nutrition, the FFVP snacks. So here we have the FFVP resources. So some ideas for nutrition education. Federal guidance says that FFVP schools will incorporate nutrition education with the program, but the funds may not be used on promotional materials. So we definitely encourage that. That you provide some type of education materials, and it can be something as simple as a coloring sheet or fun facts. It doesn't have to be a whole lesson, lesson plan on math using grapes or something. I think sometimes when we think nutrition education, we get bogged down with like, you know, something similar to a lesson plan, but it can be very simple and just something to kind of educate them on, you know, maybe these fruits and vegetables, these are some of the health benefits, just some simple things to educate them on how fresh fruits and vegetables can impact their life and help them to have a healthier life. This list of resources provides a guide for finding free or low-cost educational materials, guest speakers from the community. That's also an idea. You can bring in a local farmer when you have those strawberries on that day and have he or she talk to the children about the farming process to produce those strawberries, and then they get to eat something as a result of that, and that's pretty neat. They get to see it from pretty much ground up. So, and the ideas for successful implementation of the fresh fruit and vegetable program. So here we have some USDA, state, and locally developed FFVP materials. And if you just click on that link, it includes lesson plans, fact sheets, and harvest calendars. More Matters is also a group, Fresh Fruit and Vegetables More Matters, where you can get on there and find some neat things that can help you with implementing nutrition education when you're serving the fresh fruits and vegetables. ChooseMyPlate.gov, they also have some handouts and things that can help you with some fresh fruits and vegetables, but also, you know, some of the health benefits behind eating different fresh fruits and vegetables. Pick a Better Snack and Act. It is a comprehensive education and social marketing campaign, and it includes monthly lessons and family newsletters that you can send home to your students' families, recipe cards, bingo cards, newspaper ads and articles, and radio PSA. So no need to reinvent the wheel if they already have these things online that you can just easily access and print off. And you know, family newsletters, you might just want to they might have some on fresh fruits and vegetables that you just want to print off and pass out to send home with your students, to let them know that publicize FFVP and let them know that it's a program that their students are getting throughout the year, and they're serving fresh fruits and vegetables. Here is also 31 fresh fruit and vegetable fact sheets. And like Ms. Crutchfield said, that's what she prints out for the 3rd through 6th graders. So you could go on here and they have 31, and you could just print this off, and it has different facts about an apple or several different fruits and vegetables. There is 10 Tips Nutrition Education Series, and they have a lot of topics here listed. And the 10 Tips Nutrition Education Series provides consumers and professionals with high quality, easy to follow tips in a convenient printable format. So this is something to also look into. Also, partnerships. That is something that we all recommend with the program. The Arkansas Cooperative Extension Service, they have a consumer's guide to safe handling of locally grown produce that you could access here. But also, they also have people that could come out and talk to your students about different health tips and fresh fruits and vegetables, and maybe they could also give a little more information on agricultural and farming practices in Arkansas. So definitely utilize some of these services, and they do generally provide them for free to go along with implementing FFVP for your students. I guess I talked ahead of myself. Contact your county extension office. They have teaching models and tools, guest speakers, free or low-cost nutrition materials, and every county in Arkansas has at least one county extension office. So check into that, because that's something that everyone across the state can utilize to help them with the program. Here are some pictures from some cool ideas from FFVP school. They have the farmers market at the bottom. To the top left, I believe that there was a play that was put on involving fresh fruits and vegetables. So, I mean, you could think of anything from a play to a farmer's market to having someone go speak to, if you wanted to, you could provide a a tour of a strawberry farm or something. The only thing is we wouldn't be able to pay for that tour, but if you could find, maybe it's a free tour that the local farmer will do for the kids. And then afterwards, you can have some strawberries there, bring them back to school and have strawberries. So find some different ways to educate along with serving those fresh fruits and vegetables. Troubleshooting. This third module is the best, y'all. I get to pass the mic a little bit. So troubleshooting, these are just some different things that we found throughout the years that we've had some trouble with. Some of our schools have had some trouble with claims and different things. So I'm going to have Miss Kelly Doppelhammer talk about some of these topics. She sees them hands-on with dealing with claim issues and approving. So she's going to talk about a few of them.
Thank you, Maya. Before I go into some of the specifics, I want to give an overview kind of what happens to a claim when it gets to us. Because we've talked about a lot of different elements of it, but I don't think we've ever said explicitly, this is what happens when your claim comes to CNU. So the life of the claim begins when we receive it on time, by the deadline, every month. When we do that, then Maya and Debbie and I will start the review and approval process. And we take each claim and we review the top sheet, the claim, against all of the invoices that are attached with it. And we're looking for errors in math, maybe, and we're also looking for those things that are allowed or not allowed. And then we check if there's claim for labor. Then we check the timesheet and make sure everything adds up there to what's on the claim. And we pull the pay confirmation sheet for every claim that has labor on it and make sure all of that matches what is being claimed. And same thing if there's equipment, then we pull the approval for the equipment and make sure that's okay. And then we check the math on the front sheet, make sure everything is copacetic. And this is the process where you probably hear a lot from us. If we have a question or a clarification, we'll give you a call or send an email and make adjustments and corrections on the claim. If there's any adjustments to be made, then we make the adjustments, we scan it, and we send it back to you. So once that's done, then Debbie and I take the claim and we enter it line by line as it comes to us into our own database. And once we do that for all of the schools, every claim that we get, and Maya will then look at it, make sure that the batches match, and then she'll go into our system and release the batch for payment. So once we get through that process, then we're already have all the claims for the next month. So it's a continuous process throughout the year. And we have identified some things that are common mistakes, and so we just want to make sure that the process itself is happy-chappy for everyone because we like happy-chappy. Happy-chappy is good. So if we can start the process. One of the things is math errors. And Excel does some really wonky things. It's a great tool, but it's a little bit tricky. And we've noticed that sometimes there's some rounding errors. And usually this is within the part of the claim form that's the labor. Because when it multiplies the hourly times the number of hours times the fringe percentage, then sometimes Excel, even, most calculators will go out 2 decimal points past the period, but in Excel it goes and goes and goes, and then it may round that in a different way. So if there's a rounding error, then that's usually where it is. So we kind of, watch that when you're doing that. And also, and we talked a little bit about it, Maya did, in Excel, if you want to go back and change something, it's easier to just click on that cell and put in your different amount rather than deleting that and then putting it. Because a lot of times if you delete, you also delete the formula. And if you do that, then it's going to pull a different thing to the front sheet and it's not going to match what's on the rest of your claim. So it's always good just to go back and kind of look at the front and kind of do what we do, which is add it down and across just to make sure adds up correctly. The LEA number. The LEA number is the identifier that we use when we start putting the claims into our database for payment. So what we would like is that you put the entire 7-digit number, your LEA number, for each school on there. Not just we get a lot of them that have just the district number, then we have to go look and put the rest of the LEA number on there to make sure that we get it in correctly into our system. We talked a little bit about this. This goes back to claims that have, if you use the same claim from month to month, a lot of times schools will just keep the same produce, whatever they use, and then just change it or delete it. And we really would prefer that you use a fresh claim form every month. It makes things a lot easier because sometimes it makes things off a little bit in the system. Okay, sometimes on the invoice, when you get produce, you may order, 30 cases of grapes, and you may only receive 25 or 26. And if you notice that during that month's claim that you send to us, then you can make an adjustment, make notes on the invoice for us. Just make a little note, you only received this much, or you had to send some back because they were bad, and we understand that, and just do a little adjustment on your claim form so that way, everything will match up. And if you receive, like the following month, if there's some reason that you get a credit on your next month on your invoice from one of your vendors, then just make note it on there that this was from the previous month and subtract that off or whatever, and then we'll make the adjustments in our system. And one of the big problems is if you fax your claim to us, a lot of times it comes across a little differently. Sometimes they're blurry. Sometimes they come across and we get them in their tiny little font that we can't read. So just make sure, we don't mind receiving them by email if you scan them and send them to us that way, that's fine. You can also mail them to us. If we get them by mail, then I'm sure that we're going to get them in a way that we can read them. And you need to know how much money that you have spent. And Maya talked about this. This is for planning purpose. Just make a note. Keep it somewhere where you see, month by month, how much you have spent and how much you have left. So that way you can plan properly for your next months. Okay, the year-to-date, that seems to be one that keeps coming up on a lot of our claims as well. Your current year-to-date is going to become next month's prior year-to-date. And that last column over there is what is going to come in, and you will start over with your next month claim. And we'd like for you to keep it line by line, just as it was from the previous month. We have some schools that will pull the entire previous year to date and put it up in that first line for fresh fruit and vegetables. And then we have to go down and make sure that we go back to the previous month and write it in there so that when we put it in our system, it comes across like it's supposed to. So that's just one thing to look at, and that's we don't mind answering those questions for you if you have any about prior year to date. That's basically it. Just, it's a lot simpler just to go over your claim, kind of like review it like we do before you send it, and that way we can head off a lot of these errors before they get to us, and that's it.
Thank you, Miss Kelly. So, I'm going to continue with some troubleshooting things. You are confused about allocation 1 and allocation 2. So, allocation 1 pot of money opened July 1st, and it is super glued, welded, and clamped, or closed and clamped on September 30th. Any and all money spent and allocated, which is ordered during this time, is allocation 1. Allocation 2 pot of money opens on October 1st and is super glued, welded, and clamped. We'll see. Okay. Clamped closed. Oh, okay. On June 30th. Any and all money spent and allocated, which is ordered during this time, is allocation 2. Be careful not to overspend in allocation 1 and do not order ahead in September. So allocation 1 is your smaller pot. So don't get so excited about the program that you order a whole bunch and end up overspending, because we can only reimburse you for the money that you are awarded for that allocation. So, kind of contain your excitement until allocation 2, when you can just spend as much as you want within the confines of allocation 2 money. But, we just want you to, remember these. I know we talked a lot about an allocation 1 and allocation 2, and I'm sure when it comes to September and October, you will have questions. Feel free to call. We will walk you through it and make sure that you can submit the correct claims and that you are able to get through that little funny time of switching the money around and everything. So here, you forgot the deadline for ordering. Please remember these dates. Equipment must be ordered by November 30th, and non-food supplies, which are those disposable items, must be ordered by April 15th. We cannot guarantee reimbursement if those products are ordered after those deadlines. And also, I'll put it in my calendar to send you guys a reminder about a week prior, so that you'll know, like, okay, I got a week. I did plan to order some equipment or non-food supplies, and you can kind of get on that, because I know you get busy and you have deadlines for every program that you're involved in. So I'll make sure to kind of give you a heads up on those. Someone got a raise. Hooray. It's always great when you get extra money on your check. But when they do, please send an updated pay confirmation if you claim labor for FFVP when something changes. We do not need repeat copies monthly, but if you do have a worker who you claim labor, whether it is the direct labor or administrative labor, and any of their information changes regarding their pay, their hourly pay rate, please send it in to us that one of your workers did get a raise, so that we can have it on our file and change it on our end with the claim. So you overspent. There is no guarantee that there will be any extra funds to cover over expenses. Please, please, please track your expenses. Like we said, going back to that budgeting portion, go ahead when you leave here, when you're excited and ready for FFVP, to just make a plan of how you're going to spend your money this year. And then when you have your budget, make sure to track those expenses so that you don't overspend and have to incur those expenses through another source or fund of income. Watch your email for updates on corrected claims. Yes, because we will, if there's a revision, we will scan and email you a copy of that claim, and we want you to look over us and make sure that we're on the same page, and then also change that for your next month's claim so that we'll have the same numbers on both ends, and that you won't continually, mess up for that one mistake on that 1 month. And when in doubt, feel free to call the FFVP team. I feel like we're pretty nice and inviting, so you can call us anytime, even if you want to say hello. I'm always available. Call myself or Miss Debbie, Miss Kelly, and Miss Stephanie. She's like our fearless overseer. So we when in doubt, when I don't know, then I'll call her and we'll get it worked out. Like I said, she is so helpful to us, so we will figure out whatever situation that you have with FFVP. And this concludes module 3, and I just hope y'all have a great year. Feel free to call us. Oh yes, please. I'm glad. See, she's helping me right now, y'all. What would we do without her? So we have in your packet, and also an attachment in your email, the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program Training Evaluation. Please fill this out for us, you guys, so that we can know if you liked the training online or in person, and whether or not we adequately trained you on different areas of FFVP for the school year. Also, there's an attestation of completion, a statement that you are agreeing that you attended the training and that you're responsible for the information that was presented. I'll need you to print your name, sign it, and date it. And if you're online, return it via email to Miss Debbie Branscombe by this Friday. And also with that, return the training evaluation. These two documents together equals completion for this training. So we would like both of these two documents back as soon as possible by Friday or before then. And I just hope y'all have a great year. Oh, we have 2 questions. I'm packing up too quickly.
There's a question about whether or not the claim needs to be in any kind of special format, like PDF when we email it.
There was a question about whether or not the claim should be in a special format like PDF if it is scanned and emailed. No, you can just print. If you're scanning in an email, just print it off. And however, it'll print off looking like a PDF. It prints off regular with all the like the workbook. It prints in a workbook type manner, and just print that off, scan it, and email it to us, and it'll be fine. So however once you finish it in Excel, click print, and we can accept it the way that it's printed. Yes, and your superintendent still has to sign it even though it's scanned in email. So that's why we want you to print it, kind of take it and get he or she's signature, and then send it to us.
And then we have one just on clarifying the prior year to date.
Oh, okay.
Just tell them that one more time and tell them like in April, it's all those months gathered together. Like we spent April claims and have October.
Oh, okay. So we had a question on prior year to date and year to date and clarification. So let us go back over that. And if you could just pull out your claim, then I can look at it with you. Okay. The prior year to date is the year to date total from the prior year. So if we are talking August and September, August and September, then September's claim would be the this claim portion in the middle, and the prior year to date would be August. So the year to date total is August plus September. So prior year to date is just all the months, a total of all the months combined together. And then this claim is that specific month, and the year to date is all the months or whichever month was previous plus this claim and which equals the year to date. So like Miss Stephanie mentioned, in April, prior year to date will be all the months prior to April combined under the prior year to date. And
not including allocation 1.
yes, thank you, Miss Kelly. Not including allocation 1. We have a prior year to date, this claim, and year to date for allocation 1 and allocation 2. 2 separate pots of money, so we redo the process over. So if you have any confusion or any questions when it comes to that, please call us, because it does get a little confusing sometimes. But when you get off, then and you keep going, it's just a continuous error, and we could fix that pretty quick. So if you have any questions on prior year to date and this claim, feel free to call, and we will kind of get you back on track and let you know what your prior year to date is. So your year to date will be right. We want that to be right. So it's
So for your first claim that's due by September 10th, that prior year total will be.
yes. Okay. So the question was the first claim that's due by September 10th. Is it September 10th? Okay. For August. But if you start in September 1st, which is the first day, then you won't have one until October. So I had to think about it. But if you do start in August, you will have a claim that's due on September 10th. That's a good note. Thank you. All claims are due on the 10th of each month, and it's on your FFEP deadline sheet. But for September, if you had an August claim, your prior year to date will be blank. It won't have anything there because that's your first claim. So expect it to be blank. Don't be alarmed. The next month, it'll be filled in with numbers from September for October. No, from August for September. I'm sorry.
October, when you switch allocations, when you come down to that second set down there, it'll be one.
Okay. And in October, when we switch allocations to allocation 2, allocation 1 will be blank. The the prior year to date, and allocation 2 will be blank. Yes. I'm sorry, guys. It's a lot. And I'm looking at it blank and I'm like, I don't see any. I'm just making up dates and months. But yes, so so just expect those that column to be blank when we switch and at the start of your first claim. And it should be, those numbers don't stay in allocation 1 up here.
Some schools prefer to track it that way. We do not look at it.
Okay. Well, that's all I have on prior year today. Like I said, if I confused anyone, just feel free to call and I'll clarify on prior year to date. Were there any other questions?
Oh, wait, we do have a question. Okay, this says if a person, well, here, you just read it out.
Oh, okay.
That's a lot.
If a person does the fruit and vegetable information for students to help teachers, can that person keep record of that information, or does the teacher also have to add it in their lesson plans?
The school can track that however they want and share it with us. It's not actually something we're gonna dig.
Right. So that's not something that we dig super deep into. We give freedom and flexibility with however you want to provide that nutrition education. So if you choose to keep a little file that just shows, you served a fact sheet with the apples, you could even keep documentation by showing a picture of the sheet on there with the apple being served. We are not very strict on how you keep up with it. And if you want, you might want to keep it, just not to burden the teacher with having to keep more documents than they already have to. But like I said, that is up to you guys. However you want to, kind of formulate that and keep up with that is fine. Thank you for that. Any other ones? No other questions? Well, if you have any other questions and you're online or here, feel free to call us or email us and we'll answer those as quickly as possible. But like I said, I hope you guys have a great school year next year and continue to serve those fresh fruits and vegetables to the students because they definitely enjoy it. And we appreciate everything y'all do by implementing that program. And this concludes the end of our FFVP training.